Come out of device settings.
Yeah, come out of device settings. Yeah.
Right, it's recorded.
Okay, welcome to November's meeting of the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group. We have a video issue tonight, and we would only appear to be recording on audio for the council, and you may only be seeing our consultant Lee Sells on the screen. But present in the room is myself, Steve Williams, Chair of the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group, Councillor Gibbons, Chair of the Council, Town Eve Haskins, and two members of the public, being John Decker and Andrew Quarry. So let's start with the apologies for absence, please. We have one apology from absence from Mark Kulov, and we've seen the reason for his apology. So I would propose that we accept that. Seconded by Philippa Gibbons. All in favour? Yep. It's all hands gone up. No other apologies for absence.
Apology from Martin.
Yeah.
Okay, disclosures of interest. Have we got any disclosure of interest from myself or Philippa? Not from me and not from Philippa.
No.
So we're not going to receive, or have we received any written requests? No. So we're not going to grant any requests for dispensation because we haven't got any. So the minutes of the last meeting held on the 10th of October as attached to the minute pack. Any comments on those? I have none. Therefore,
I'm okay with them.
Would you propose them as?
I'll propose them. Yes.
I'll second them.
Yeah.
All in favour of accepting those?
Yeah. Happy with them.
That's all in favour. Thank you very much. Confidential items to be discussed in confidence after item 22, 23, 46. There aren't, as far as I'm concerned, any items in confidence. There's no price sensitive issues there, as there were last time, and we have discussed those in confidence last time. I made a recommendation to full council, which comes up in the agenda later on. So anyone else got any confidential items? No. Okay. So moving on to public participation, item 41. There are no members of the public in the room, so we can dispense with that and move swiftly on to item 42, the draft neighbourhood plan, and receive an update on and recommendations from our consultant Lee Sells on camera. So Lee, over to you, mate.
Okay. Yeah, I sent through an updated version of the plan mid-month, and that took on board the comments that were made at the previous steering group, plus some changes that were emailed separately offline, and they've been incorporated into the plan. So the main changes really were related to the community assets and facilities table, which I amended to include those which were mentioned, and also to remove some duplication from some of the facilities that were mentioned, where they were not actually mentioned in the aspirations table. So in effect, just come in brand new. I put them in the aspirations table as well, just to sort of cover that off. I did have an outstanding question about what the aspiration would be if it was going to be in the aspirations table for All Saints Church. And it's just a question because, of course, you might have objectives for it or you might not. But at the moment, it's in the policy and it needs to be in the aspirations table as well. So that was the only real question I had from that. There were a number of typo changes which were made, and that was it. The only other thing that I did is actually the other item on the agenda relating to ACOM, so, and the town centre boundary. So the reference to Bradford's adopted policies is now in. There's a full table in there which refers to all the policies. I can't remember if that was in last time. I don't think it was, but there's a full table of references to policies in there. And we're really just waiting now for any final references to be changed in relation to the town centre boundary, and anything you want to say about the consultation with landowners and property owners in relation to local green spaces and structures of local importance.
Okay. So I hold my hand up with a degree of guilt that I did see your email about All Saints Church and meant to do a quick series of phone calls, but didn't. So what do we think about All Saints Church, Crossflats?
And what, just give
Oh,
me
is it-
the context. Yeah.
No, All Saints Church is the one in Bingley, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's just outside the town centre boundary. So I genuinely just didn't think, well, you could have something that you might want to do there, but I wasn't sure if there was anything. So I thought I'd ask the question.
Well, as a committed atheist, I feel my aspirations for All Saints Church may well clash with many in the community, so I'll best be quiet.
I think this was one that Martin suggested himself, wasn't
Yeah.
it, that it should go in. It does beg the question of whether we then end up with putting in all churches.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got it currently outside the boundary, haven't we? So, yeah, it's outside the town centre, so it's not a town centre aspiration. It's I mean, yeah, as you say, why single out All Saints Church with regard to maybe St Aidan's Church in Crossflats, which may well have a greater community.
That isn't included. That's already in the aspirations table.
Yeah, but I think the point I make is the outlying churches probably fulfil a greater community part because they have church halls as opposed to a formal church. St whatever it's called here. I've just lost the plot. What was it called? St what?
Where?
Your big church.
The Saints.
All Saints. Yeah, sorry, I was looking for All Saints.
Yeah.
Has a separate church hall.
Yes.
Which would fulfil those community aspects.
Yeah.
So the church
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of why I asked the question. Like some of the other churches, maybe if there are any smaller chapels or others that are obviously a dual purpose type building, then you could see why you might need to protect them, because sometimes smaller churches, smaller chapels do close. But you couldn't really see the parish church of Bingley closing. So I was just kind of wondering, well, what is it you want to do with it?
I could see it closing for
Well, not
lack
for
of
the reasons
lack of funds and things.
Well, that's right. But I mean, I don't think it will happen in our lifetime, dare I say, because
I've seen many a church.
Yes, I
big
know,
churches
I
with
know.
boarded up windows.
I know, but I can speak that we are on the whole quite viable.
Viable, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the only word I can think of. Now you've got the church in Cottingley, for instance,
Yeah.
which is a church and a community hall.
Facility.
Yeah. And you know yourself, Steve, that we are a church that we are going towards doing music festivals.
Yeah, I know.
And so consequently, that's why
Great stuff.
I'm not sure where we fall. And Church House, which belongs to All Saints, is a part of us and is utilised a great deal, as is the one in Eldwick.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer to the question.
So in the use classes order, there is a differentiation between places of worship and community meeting halls. So there are some churches by their creed that do not open up to the public and do not make available for general community use. They're solely for the use of that church. And so that's why the use classes order, I think, makes them separate. So they're class F1, which puts them in the same category as schools, galleries, museums, libraries, law courts, that sort of thing. Whereas local community uses, which is a separate use class, F2, which are more distinctly part of a local community facility provision. So again, it kind of, obviously I've put it in the policy as something that needs to be retained and protected, but in terms of the aspirations table, which of course is where you're setting out what your objectives are, then that's what I haven't got. So it's just a question of whether you've got anything or whether it just needs to be retained as the core parish church for Bingley.
I'd have thought All Saints would have been in F2, given the fact it holds rock concerts in it.
Well, it might be. That might be the case. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, some churches do and some churches don't. So
So it's been
Primary,
re-registered.
primarily a place of worship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
primary, but did it have to be re-registered under F1 or F2 to facilitate that? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well, I still don't know the answers to the question. I mean, indeed,
Is it a community use, given that there's the bell ringers there and Bingley bell ringers?
yeah.
I mean, it might well be. All I'm really saying is you I could do with a couple of sentences just to say what it is you'd like to achieve for the parish church in the aspirations table. That's all.
Okay. Over to the vicar. Yeah. Delegate that to Martin Decker, the vicar,
But does this need to go in now, or can it go in?
as part of the Reg 14.
Yeah.
Tell him it's Martin Weaver, will you, not Decker?
Martin Weaver.
Yeah,
Did I
you've
say
just said
Martin
Decker.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, I suspect that if it goes out to consultation as it is, no one will even notice it's not in the aspirations table. But it's so if it's just in a too difficult pile right now, then yes, you could always insert something later.
Let's do that then. Okay. All right. So you've updated the plan then, and I see on Thursday you provided a copy for Eve to put on the website to use as the consultation copy. I spotted that. So as far as you're concerned, it's good to go. Apart from the ACOM documents we're going to chat about next. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said from the beginning, you don't need to publish the whole plan.
No.
Just for those landowners.
Yeah.
But it's up to you, I guess.
Well, when we get down to item 44, I'm hopeful that Eve can give us a more of a wider update on that particular subject. So let's move on, and unless anyone wants to talk about where we are with the draft neighbourhood plan per se in total.
No,
I think we
look
are.
just about complete to me.
Okay. So ACOM documents then, I received this on holiday and asked Eve to pass it to you, Eve, and say in my absence for you to dig in and go through. And hopefully, apart from the town centre boundary, which we'll talk about separately, were you generally happy with the ACOM documents as now?
Well, you only asked them to do about 2 or 3 things, and they didn't do 2 of them. So I wasn't really thinking that they'd done very much with it, if I was honest. So I don't know how much.
We asked them to remove some of the
Yeah.
positive statements and woolly them down a bit, and to change
Yeah.
the gateway of Gilstead and
Yeah,
Village.
that one was there. They did actually retain the thinking around the gateway with the proviso that it would be only if a site ever came forward for development. So they didn't exactly ditch it completely, but they made it a bit more woolly, as you said. And then
happy with that because I didn't want
Yeah.
to completely.
Yeah. So if that's what you wanted, then they did that. But as I said, the town centre boundary was the main issue, in that they didn't really do anything with it. So what they did was insert a yellow boundary over your boundary, and the yellow boundary was supposed to be the retained UDP boundary.
Yeah.
Only they didn't quite get that right, or it slipped like it did on the other PDF, because it was hanging over the wrong areas again. So that's what prompted me to then look at the town centre. And so I don't think in the end we've gone back to ACOM, because we're obviously waiting for this meeting.
Yeah, ACOM are chasing me, saying they want an output from us by the end of November, so that they can go round their loop and have a sign off by Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, I think they know that this meeting's happening tonight, and we can then move forward. So we're going to talk about the town boundary. As I said to you this morning on our catch-up call, I think that I hadn't realised the significance of using a big yellow line or a big red line or a big blue line, or, a thick pen, basically. And I accepted your explanation, both verbally and in this paper, that if we really wanted to have some aspirations for the town centre, we needed to be crystal clear as to what properties are in them and what are not. So I like the way you went through the numbers in very big detail, and used a fine line on the last drawing, We've got Andrew and John having a look at it at the moment. If you turn to the back page, guys, you will see the output from Lee, where he's actually there's 2 pages of text there, road by road, basically, redefining the town boundary, which is a better redefinition from my one or our one, and proposes that back to both Bradford and ACOM. So I don't know whether Philip has got some words.
No, the only question I had on it was the old magistrates court, which is going to become residential, and therefore do we take it out?
Well, Lee asked me why I had it out, and my answer was because I just went straight across the road with a pen. And no more thinking than that, which is why I say it's only Lee's. Lee's a town centre planner. Lee's a planner, so you know he obviously knows full well. And I'm just a volunteer councillor who trying to do a job. So I just put a pen across it.
So it's a question of, do we want anything on
well,
the right of Ferncliff Road?
Yeah, my answer was no, because we then have to go and look at the old people's houses opposite.
Yeah.
You know, what used to be Archibald's, or whatever the name of that company was, the woodworking company, and it is now old people's Atkinson's. Thank you. Yeah. So my copy's been taken away by these 2 guys. But yeah, why include them? We know that the magistrates court's going to be an old people's facility or care home or warden controlled
Retirement
apartment. Yeah. So can I have these piece of paper back?
Of course you can. Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
At this stage with Lee's revised boundary?
Yeah.
Basically, I think it's fine, if I may say so, Lee. It accords with the shop survey that I've done twice now of that central area. The only slight question mark I have is that you've extended this nib out to what is currently it's the old Bingley Town Council building. And you feel that should be incorporated as part of the town centre.
It's because that's a development area for Bradford. I think that's
Can I just say that's
but is it actually part of the town centre?
You go back to the first page of that note, and there's a map there, and the blue line,
extends down to
the town centre boundary.
That is the current town centre boundary with it in. You can see that nib there. That's the current town centre boundary.
It wasn't in the 2005 Airedale proposal.
This is the RUDP 2006.
2006.
Yeah. So John's now querying the old Bingley Town Hall, but I think if we sort of put that one into the mixing pot, it would be.
I think it just has to stay, doesn't
it?
I mean, I'm quite happy if you want to leave it like that. I just wondered why it was included as the town centre and not, say, part of the park.
Don't know. It's a question for Bradford. Question for Bradford, not for us. That's the issue there for me.
Well, I suppose because it was a town centre council building. It's not strictly part of the
town centre.
Not part of the park either.
Well, the interesting thing about that is if you actually carried out any sort of, what would it be, like a town centre development, you know, because obviously you put things in town centres that you wouldn't necessarily have outside town centres. Well, they're going to generate visitors, and yet they've left have they left the parking outside that line, or does that include a parking area as well? I can't recall actually whether that the development there would allow any parking at that location, or whether it would have to be somewhere else.
Very difficult because the parking is actually part of the park.
Yeah,
not the town hall.
Yeah,
Bradford is holding it. That's the thing.
Yeah. So the only other thing to note there is obviously the blue line on the other side of the town centre stops. It actually incorporates both platforms of the railway, so it goes over the railway line and then stops. So the dotted areas to the north of the town centre, where I can't remember, is it Polycrest or what? There's a manufacturing location in the very north there, isn't there? That's blue dots. Yeah. And then the rear of Busfield Street, is it called? That one is also blue dots, and then the area on the other side of the railway line where the Aldi now is blue dots, and that's all regarded as town centre expansion area, but obviously not formally designated.
Yeah, well that going back to the end
by including that.
We lost him momentarily.
Yeah,
Lee was actually talking there, and then he broke up, I'm afraid. So we've missed that last point, I think, Lee.
Okay, I was just going to say that those blue dots are town centre expansion areas. So whilst not necessarily designated at that point, they were regarded as the future expansion areas for the town centre. So if you wanted to include those, obviously you'd be going with the grain of what Bradford were originally thinking of doing anyway.
Yeah, they've already done it, haven't they? I mean, Audi has taken up that site. So,
what it would mean is that the manufacturing enterprise on the north, next to the fire station, that's regarded as a development that, if it ever closed, would be suitable for town centre type development. So just that's the thought process going on there.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a good thing.
Yeah. You know, if that became a shopping centre, for example, to mirror the one on the south, then that would be good.
It provides for that possibility.
Yeah,
that's important.
Yeah, we're saying Castlefields and other sites are our industrial sites, rather than Lambert's the plastic thing. But we've got Galbraith, the stone merchants there, haven't we? And somewhere else, a metal manufacturing company there, and
there's quite a few.
There's also a couple of garages and workshops there, isn't there?
Yeah.
But okay. But going back to your comment about the magistrates' court, if we include that as you have drawn it now, in 2 years' time, when that becomes warden-controlled old people's apartments, would that be appropriate to be in the town centre, given that opposite the other side of the road are the same?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
So, do we want to draw that line straight across the?
Going to be then.
Why,
yeah, you probably would.
Lee, why would it not be appropriate?
Well, a town centre use is usually regarded as if it's not a commercial use or a retail use or a leisure use, then if there was a
it's frozen.
So if it's a sole residential use, then it's not really appropriate for town centre inclusion in the town centre, particularly if it's occurred whilst and the boundary's not being changed, fine. But if you're actually defining it at that point, then I guess the only other point is it actually happening? Is it being built?
The thing is, Lee, there is we are looking to have residential usage in the town centre on the upper floors. To my way of thinking, the magistrate court side is complementary to that proposed or suggested usage of parts of the town centre. And to some extent, the new housing that's being built a little bit further north of the town centre, so that's the McCarthy and Stone complex, and what's the other one? Housing Association.
Yeah, Anchor
place, isn't it? That's not very far from the town centre either, and to some extent, those two new developments which have reached completion complement, in my mind, the proposal that we have to utilise vacant floor space on the upper floors for residential use, in the sense of given the slow turnaround now with retailing and with the effect of COVID and just the electronic sales that are happening, the demise of shops and so on in towns, then we need to look for alternative uses for the town centre, and we need to look to make the town centre more a place for leisure, or to try and attract leisure. And part of that must surely be that you have residential use there as well.
I agree with the mixed uses. That's kind of the way you would normally describe it, in the flats above shops and maybe small amounts of residential in amongst commercial and other uses. I just question whether a solid block of residential, if that's all it is, would ever be regarded as a town centre use, given that it's actually on the edge. I suppose the other thing is, if you still see that as an area that's actually may not, I mean, for example, is that scheme being delivered? I suppose that's the point as well. Do you want to retain the flexibility that if it doesn't come forward, then it's still available for town centre development?
Well, it was validated in January this year, and it's still pending decision.
Well, then yeah, because that's the point. I mean, people can apply for whatever they want, but if they don't get permission or they don't build it, then of course you could just keep that as town centre land until such time as such a development appears. You know, because it might not appear.
They just need to sign off.
They're signing off section 106. Philippa has some update.
Okay.
He has been reliably informed. They're arguing about 106.
Whether that will.
Well, that's a wedge of money, I guess.
That is a wedge of money. So
yeah.
I suppose the question is, I haven't seen the proposals. So, I mean, are the proposals like a traditional kind of care home development with housing, you know, on all floors and therefore no public access, or is it as more like John was just saying, you know, a kind of a mix of uses which still feel like a town centre?
No, it's construction of 45 retirement living units.
There is no retail offer in there.
No, it'll be key code or passworded. Same as all the others.
I mean, for me, then if we take that out, it then begs the question of do we want to keep in the car park?
Which car park?
The car park at the back of
the car park at the back.
Oh, yeah.
And the green space, you know, because they could be. Or do we just say the town centre boundary is?
Well, for me, the town centre boundary is the road, the traffic light.
I don't know whether you can remember your Google walk through that area, Lee, but Philippa's right behind the magistrates' court, which would be excluded at the moment. There's a car park for about 30 cars.
Yeah. And is this development taking that whole of the site
no.
south of the road? Because if the remaining part of it is still available for town centre development, then I suppose that's the other thing.
Yeah, that car park serves the shopping centre.
Yeah.
So on your last map, Lee, if you took out the last indentation almost and cut across, that's where you'd have it. So it's
that green space you've got there is still there. So it's kind of like it's. Have you got that space in front of you?
Where the sort of purple line ends, if you went straight across there, that would probably.
Well, that bit's in the magistrates' court.
I don't think.
You're not.
No.
Which bit are you talking about?
This bit here.
This bit here.
Well, that little bit.
Yeah,
there. What Philippa's saying is do that.
Oh, like that.
And that bit there.
Yes. So it's only that brown leg on the extreme south. So does that make sense to you, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just look at the planning application, I suppose, as well, to see where the boundary of it is.
Well, let me give you the number then. It's 22/00/306/MAF. Mike Alpha Foxtrot.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So
Right.
with that in mind, then, if we resolve to restyle that line and include the car park and the green space as town centre, therefore we keep some restriction on it, that would suit me. John's
That's fine.
nodding.
That's okay.
How about Andrew? You
Yeah.
nodding?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's
Philippa?
okay.
Yeah, but presumably that means Acon would need to go back and. check
Yeah,
it
yeah.
out.
Well, Acon are anyway, because Acon have only done this big
Yeah,
line here. We're pushing back on Acon, definitely. And we're going to be asking Lee, I hope, to send the map that he's done.
Yeah, I'm happy just to liaise directly with them if that helps, and then that makes sort it out quicker.
Yeah, but there's no point in me redoing it, or if you send it to me, I'll gladly send it to them if you want to duck out of the conversation. Lee.
No, I'll just email him directly and copy you in if that's all right. Then I see. Yeah, I can see where it is now. Yeah.
And I don't know whether you need to change any of your text then to suit.
Yeah, I will. I'll just change the text and the in relation to the care home.
I think you need to add text rather than change text. I can't see you've actually referenced. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant.
Do we know if it's going to be a care home? He just said 43
no,
units.
45.
It's retirement apartments. It's
Retirement
not a
units.
care home.
No,
Sorry.
retirement units.
Yeah, like along the road from me.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
I'll
So
forget- I'll
any
forget
more
that.
on the Acon documents?
Not from
And
me.
from you, any around the table? No. So if
I've
we
not
sorted
seen the revised one.
if we sorted out that, well, it's on that rather large email you didn't get. But to be fair,
I tried to send it again as well today and it just bounced back.
it's
again.
bouncing around.
Bounced
This is
back.
big.
What we should do
Is it on-
is I did
It's
create
on-
another Teams folder that I thought we could just put everything in and then guys can access it rather than emailing it, because emailing massive documents.
Yeah.
Where does it?
Well, having been out for 24 days, I relied on Lee to do the numbers on it. So I haven't even read it, but I'm assuming if Lee says it's okay, it's okay. So
It's not on the council's website yet, is it?
what, the new one? No,
Yeah.
Philippa's just saying that she's asking Eve to put it in the Teams, and it's not on the council website now.
No.
And I don't
No,
think
it
it should be either.
No.
Until-
I'd like to see it actually, just to.
Can you get on the Teams site?
See, pardon?
Can you get on the Teams site?
Can you get on this Teams site?
No.
Oh, is that not how you've accessed the documents before? 'Cause
Look,
that's what we did last time.
My computer is steam powered. It's that old, you know.
Yeah, you just send you a link and you just follow the link and you
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
the
I should be able to
document.
get on
Okay, you can do that. Yeah.
I'll send it.
All right, let's move
Send me
on.
the
then.
link, can you? I'll see.
See, and if that don't work, just come back and then we can send you.
I can always come down here and sit next to Eve and.
Okay.
Can you see
Oh,
send me the link as well? When
Yeah.
We're on the clock, so let's move on to
Yeah.
22, 23, 44. Property owners initial consultation, Councillor Williams and Town Clerk. Well, Councillor Williams doesn't have a lot to input, and I'm hoping the Town Clerk has got more to say.
Well,
on that.
the letters have gone out.
Hurrah.
As Philippa can
Attest.
attest.
Did you mail merge successfully? Right.
But we'll be doing it again because
Oh.
I didn't put the an email address in.
Oh,
So Philippa got a phone call from
that
someone
person.
who'd received a letter.
I got a phone call from someone who received the letter,
No, he-
wasn't happy about the letter, that it didn't have
an email.
an email
Yeah.
for queries,
Okay.
and just generally wasn't happy
At all.
about her wall being included.
Oh, but we've got another email which flooded in
Yeah.
today where the lady is eminently happy that her wall is being
Yeah.
included and wants to add two gate posts to it as well.
All right, okay.
Thank you so much. So you have, this is the whole point about the consultation. You just go, thanks very much.
Well, I mean,
We-
I said to her, yes, we'd send her a letter out again where so she could.
Well, if it's mail merged and it's a matter of stamps, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Cost.
won't be a problem. I'll just do it again. It just means pushing the consultation period back a week.
How many people are on it?
There's about 100, but it's not 100 stamps because like there's lots that go to Bradford Council. So
Yeah,
I
both the
think
council and
it was about
the retirement flats up near me, they're all landowners. It's a
No, it was
holding company.
30 odd it was that I think I ended up
Okay.
getting. So yeah, I'll just do it again because we've just discussed it actually, haven't we? And we think maybe it should just have an email address on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it should
Because
just
there's
have
no
an
point in my
email
phone
address
number being on
and
there.
say, you know, if you've got a query, please indicate your property and the feature being preserved so that we can come back to you with something, something meaningful. Because, like I say, this lady phoned me up. She wasn't very happy, and the best will in the world, I was really struggling to work out what she was happy with, what she wasn't happy about, which actual feature it was and where it was in the plan. So we do need, I think, something where if someone has a query, we go back and can have a meaningful conversation with them.
We did send that. I sent them the letter with a feedback sheet, and I put on the feedback sheet whether it was a building or a green space and what it was. So if they'd filled it in and posted it back to us, we'd know. Right. But it's saying, give us a ring if you want to talk about it. And then
it's if you've got any queries about the process or whatever, then. Because she just
I'm happy to see, now I'm back, I'm happy to see a draft review of that said letter. And
I'll send it to you then. I'll send it and get them out this week.
But it does mean, do we want to give them some extra time? I don't think we need to be perfectly honest.
I don't think so. If we give them another letter, I'll give them another week, you know.
Well, you just just change the date.
Because it was just before Christmas now, so it'll be just middle of Christmas.
I changed it because I've just been doing the letter.
21st, wasn't it?
Yeah, I changed it to, so assume I send them out this week, say they'll get to people on Friday, so that's the 2nd. So it'd be the 30th.
No, just say 30th or year end, and 31st of December. I don't think it matters to us too much. You know, we know what's happening. It's going to draw out a bit longer. We're all resigned to that, aren't we? Okay. So, did we find out who owned the fountain?
No.
Did we send it to that landowner, that gardener, or was he just shrugging his shoulders?
We sent a letter to the people that own the house that it's on.
Yes.
And they haven't got back to us. So when it came to these initial consultation letters, I just put them down as the
again. Yeah. Bradford is saying there's an old spa fountain down an unmade up road. It's called Spa Lane, Lee, which is in a wall. Bradford is saying it's not theirs.
Yorkshire Water saying it's nothing to do with them.
Yorkshire Water, nothing to do with them. And the house owner whose wall it's in saying nothing to do with them either.
That's interesting.
Did you approach the history society or the town?
Alan Cattell is one of the probably the best person to ask in the whole of Bingley. Otherwise, it'd be Alan Murfield.
Yeah.
But where is it?
Spa Lane.
Where's Spa Lane?
Just below me. You got that as Heather Court or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, that was
Spa Lane. No, Spa Lane is down to Gorthorpe.
Right.
I know.
I know where you
mean. There's a fountain in the wall just there.
Is there?
I think it must belong to the people that own the house.
It must do.
It must do, mustn't it?
Well, we've consulted. That's we've consulted everyone.
Yeah.
It's got to be someone of those. So they just don't know it yet. So.
I mean, if it's in your wall and you own the wall, you would assume you own.
Well, exactly.
Not necessarily. No.
Well, no, I know.
No.
But it's not Bradford Council.
No, but we're sticking a lien on it, aren't we, by putting it in our document. So whoever owns it, if there's a planning permission issue with it in the future, the council will look at it and say, well, actually, no. Hopefully. Okay.
Yeah.
So
why is it called Spa Lane? I suppose is the other issue.
Well, there's a spa in it. Yeah.
Is it the fountain?
Roman.
Yeah, but it's not a very impressive spa. It's a minor fountain, but there's a stream running down the middle of the track as well. You know, it's an active stream.
It's an underdog, isn't it? So it's
There's a track rather than a road in places. Yeah. Okay. So. Our actions are to change the letter and send it out again and extend the date by a week. So we all agreed on that?
Yes.
Okay. Right. 22, 23, 45, Reg 14 consultation. Although it says my name, I have to say that this went to the full council, didn't it, from here? Well, I wasn't at the full council, so I didn't know anything about it because I didn't watch the YouTube of the full council. I then went on holiday, and in my absence, the draft minutes came out, so I have seen that the full council agreed it.
Yeah.
So we're good to go with Richard Aldred Designs, but I've done nothing about it, having only been back for a day. So that's my update on. There are my recommendations is I now get on with it and speak to Richard. Now, given the fact that we're okay with the plan now, the town centre boundary is in the ACOM documents, not in our documents. So I think we're good to go to talk to Richard Eldred to say, could you redesign this bunch of words into a document and have him identify how many photographs he needs and where we get them from and do that. So
you send him the draft plan then.
You're looking worried. You don't.
Oh, I'm just thinking.
Oh, okay.
It's my thinking first.
Okay. Okay. Right.
What was the
point itself? It's also a worried look.
Right. Okay.
Make it look pretty,
Pretty.
and presentable, and
Put it into a PDF.
What was the purpose of sending just the Oxenhope items and the consultation document?
That was
To whom?
Was that?
the agenda, you mean?
Oh,
Yes.
that's coming up. That's coming up.
Oh, that's not part.
No.
Well, it's down as part of.
No, we're on
45.
bullet point 1, document design work.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry.
That's where we're.
Apologies, gentlemen.
Bullet point
Apologies.
1.
Do you want me to liaise with?
You can do, and
Because he
then
can get access to the site as well. Then.
he can get on Teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, he already knows what we want, because we've laboriously gone back to all 3 of them, of the tenderers, asking them to consider Ilkley and someone else's Oxenhope plan. So he should, in theory, just say thanks very much. I know exactly what I'm doing, and get on with it.
Yeah.
I guess there's going to be a few things that he'll have to wait on, and that'll be, for example, if you're going to do a policies map.
Policies map, definitely.
With the designations, so I guess you won't be able to do that until the consultations that you're carrying out are finished. But you could just hold back on the dots for those things, or the lines, depending on how you deal with the consultation responses that you get.
Well, forgive me for perhaps challenging you, Lee, but I thought the consultation was to get people's views, not to accept what they say and take a building off.
Well, I did say depending on how you deal with the consultation responses. So I suppose you could conceivably accept some, or you might reject most. But I wouldn't want to say that you would automatically, reject them all. You have to obviously see the merit of what's being said to you before you decide to progress.
Diplomatic as ever, but I guess.
Suppose we might drop 1 or 2. We might.
But depending upon the logic of the argument.
Well, surely what we're looking for is perhaps something we haven't thought of.
Yeah. Yeah,
we
again.
Yes.
We might get some added. I mean,
Yeah,
the lady I spoke to, part of her argument was that you're doing this to me, whereas I look at this property, and why haven't you included that one? We might get.
Well, exactly. The lady. This was at the court up near.
Oh, from the email today.
Yeah, forget the name of that building.
Wingfield
Court.
Yeah.
So whether that was the same lady who spoke to you?
No, it wasn't.
But it was the lodge of the old lodge of Wingfield Court who was talking today about why haven't you included these gate posts?
How many do you think we'll receive back? I'm not convinced we'll get that many back.
I
don't know.
No, I don't know. 4 or 5.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, if you look at Oxenhope's results,
but I
out of the population they've got there, I think they're about 19 back.
We can always speak to Richard to say, he'll do it as a multi-layer map, I would imagine, and therefore keep each individual subject matter as an individual layer. And therefore, if we want to remove a dot, we can. But you're quite right, Lee. The town centre boundary is part of the policy map, and that will have to go on there anyway. It needs that to be passed to him. But we can pass that to him as well as ACOM, because we can assume that ACOM would do our bidding and put it in. The only argument, therefore, is with Bradford. So Richard can put it in the policies map.
I suppose as long as Richard knows, we might want to make a couple of.
Well, he's allowed for 3 iterations, hasn't he? So we know that, and he knows we're going out to Reg 14, and that he knows there's further work in the pipeline. But once he's done the initial grunt work of making it pretty, then adding things to a PDF is not too difficult. Okay, any other thoughts on document design work? Okay, consultation questions then. I was tasked to go out and look at other wards, parishes to see what they've done, and taking on board Lee's warning about we shouldn't go to sort of 27 questions as some of the ones that he knew of. I found the one in Oxenhope quite satisfactory. It's 7 questions. We obviously would have our own series of questions, but the style of it is very simple. Do you agree with the vision? Yes or no? You know, and then picking up the Ilkley one to avoid and control the output. What the Ilkley one says, if you want to comment, then you've got to use this comment sheet. You've got to use 1 sheet per comment. They've really controlled it down. I have put a call into the name of the person that Ian Cunningham gave me, but she hasn't responded yet from Ilkley.
Is it the chair of the council?
No, it was Ros someone.
Oh, she's one of the councillors, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a councillor.
Brown?
Ros someone. And she hasn't come back to me yet, but you spoke to Laura, who said that she didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, it was before her time.
Yeah, before her time. So we just have to go. So anyway, point being is they controlled the output very, very carefully so that they got what they got. And Oxenhope controlled the questions down to a limit. And so I was suggesting to you guys that we mirror. So we have a 2-page piece there, which is saying this is the name, this is the organisation, and that goes. The Reg 14 consultation 2 went out to all the statutory consultees as well. So it was also Joe Public, as well as if you looked at the Oxenhope one, you had people from the train station, the railway. Keithworth Railway in Oxenhope itself, and they were commenting on it, but again 1 page per comment.
I mean, on the Ilkley one, I just can't see Bradford Council doing that. I can't believe they would have done that for Ilkley, given what we have got back from Bradford Council. We tend to get a document with all their comments in, with the comments from each individual department.
Yeah, but don't we control the Reg 14? They control Reg 16.
Well, we do, but them as a statutory consultee, I'm not sure.
Maybe they're maverick about it and don't do it, but
Or we're going to get 1,000 pages from Bradford.
I don't know. Well, we shouldn't get many from Bradford now, having. I can see the cynical smile on your face, but we've jumped through hoops for Bradford, so we should be.
That doesn't necessarily make them like the way we've interpreted.
No, okay.
Are you giving this as an alternative, as either or?
No, they're the questions.
Do both.
That's the response paper.
Right.
I am suggesting, though, that maybe we want to tease the questions a little bit, but essentially the format.
But Oxenhope, the other Oxenhope document we've got, that consultation review, just as effectively tallies up the yeses and nos list, doesn't it? It doesn't do the other.
No.
Yeah. Well, just with the Oxenhope one, I've just added on the bottom that if you go through a yes/no scenario, you're not really getting the feel out of the responder as to what they want to say about it.
No, but
you're just asking, do you agree, yes or no? Well, yes or no, but they might want to add something else. So
they might do.
So I just wondered if you should just add just an extra line, or do you have any further comments?
Well,
do you expect the further comments to go onto the format that Ilkley's done? Is that...
Well, they did. They used SurveyMonkey, so it's very much a yes/no format of it.
Yeah.
I didn't see the SurveyMonkey survey itself, only the output paper.
Oh.
And it was very much like 27 responses or something, rather than yes, no's, and the majority of them fell into this. But the statutory from Bradford and Worth Valley Steam Club, plus 3 residents. So that there wasn't a lot of textual input to look at.
No, it's all right.
The Ilkley one, I haven't seen the output from it. The output from it is talking. No, that's more of a budgetary issue that I spoke to you about on email, about how much time we wanted from Lee to do the Reg 14 statutory responses and all that sort of stuff. The pushback papers. I felt that was in his gift, not ours. So, what do we think then, in general, in terms of staying away from the wordy and going yes, no? And if that is the case, what do we think about the questions? And what do we think about controlling the output to us in terms of we're open to comment, but you've got to do it in the way we want you to do it.
If I might make an observation, I think the way you've done that there means that anyone who wants to make a comment has to actively identify what it is they want to comment on and then comment on it, rather than giving them something where they must generate a response, if you know what I mean. So that you could have a survey where you're literally inviting someone to give a view on every comment, and it's there in front of them ready to press a button. And so in that respect, you're then generating responses on every aspect of your plan. Whereas in this way, I guess you're asking people to self-select the things they want to comment on, which is a
Well, it's asking them to get more au fait.
So I suspect this should generate. Yeah, you're also asking them to sort of say, well, it's up to you to tell you comment on, rather than sort of guiding them through, like an online survey where every single aspect has a 5 option sort of response thing, very much like a bit, don't like, or dislike, and so on, all the way through to hate. So, and then they get a comment as well. That would probably generate a lot of comments, whereas I suspect this way would generate fewer comments, I would imagine, because it asks people in effect to select and then actively fill in what they would like to talk about. So I expect that to generate fewer comments than one where you lay out every policy and section and give them an automatic button to press and then enable them to fill it in on the survey. So if I think that should generate fewer comments, and I suspect therefore the comments that you'd get would be more significant and considered as a result. If when you get them, I can't imagine someone's going to fill this in and then give you in the box on the comment page 1 sentence. If you know what I mean. They're probably
I think we're qualifying the commenter by asking them to do some legwork. What page
exactly
number?
Yeah, I think that's what this approach says to me, and that should generate fewer
Well, it also means
responses.
It means the person who phoned up Philippa, where Philippa was struggling to figure out what the
they'd have to explain it.
Yeah. So in this, it would be page number, policy number, your address, and what is it you're commenting on.
Yeah.
And if it says, why have you selected my walls and not all the walls, and so our comment might be fine, we'll go and select all the walls.
See, the trouble with this, do you agree with the vision? Do you agree with the aims and objectives? If somebody said no, it doesn't get you anywhere, does it?
Well, I suppose the other thing is the only other thing about you picked a very good example there, John, with the objectives. So this forces people to say whether they support them overall, I guess, or object to them overall. So if you've got, say, 5 elements to a vision, to an objective, it's 5 objectives. If they support 3 and don't support the other 2, then what do they say? So they'd have to choose the balance, I suppose, of whether they support them or object. If people like some but don't like the others, or don't like one, then they may feel shoehorned into saying something they don't want to say.
Yeah.
Well, they've given them yes, no, and unsures, haven't they? So I suppose you probably get quite a few unsures in that.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah, usually.
The other thing is,
but is that useful to you?
No, it's not.
Not if it's not
really
got a comment
useful.
with. Not if it's not got a comment with it, which you could respond to. If it's just an unsure, then yeah, what can you do with that? Difficult.
and the other thing is, using SurveyMonkey, it says, do you agree with the vision for Oxon and Hope set out above? So presumably in the SurveyMonkey, they set out the vision in survey. And then it said, do you agree with the aims and objectives set out above? Presumably they set out the aims and the objectives. So they're cut and pasting from our neighbourhood plan, and our aims and objectives are, several pages, aren't they? So
no, the objectives are like 5 sentences.
5 or 6 objectives.
Yeah,
5 or
at the
6.
end of the day, yeah. So it's not a lot.
So if you're doing it on SurveyMonkey, you're going to have something at your top of your screen and then your buttons at the bottom, and it's going to be a screen per question. Isn't it?
Yeah. So do we agree using SurveyMonkey is a good thing? And do we agree that we should go down and take the generic type of questions here and modify them slightly? And I can, in the background, I can research SurveyMonkey costs. So again,
Isn't it free?
Isn't it
It's
free?
free,
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's free.
That's good.
But
Who knows how to use it?
because it's free, then it's fairly limited in the amount of information you can put on.
Yeah.
That was my experience.
We can relatively easily.
Yeah, Roz was the expert on SurveyMonkey, wasn't she?
We can relatively easily knock up this is what we think it would look like.
Yeah.
Pop it in. I'm quite happy to have a go if nobody else.
Great stuff.
I'm sure.
Loving your work, Philip.
I'm sure it's not.
One volunteer worth 10 press.
Yeah.
I suppose the key thing to think about is when you're asking people whether they oppose something or support something, to just think through how important is it whether you know which bits they support or don't support. So say, for example, the local green spaces. If you've got 20, then are you just asking them to support them all? Or you're asking them to support the concept?
Yeah.
What are you asking them to support? And so it's that sort of question, really. And unfortunately you've got several policies where you've got long lists of things that are designated, and I suppose you need to know whether people have views on any particular one, or is it the case that we just use that other form that's been, familiarly, that people just make their point on the specific sites that they're interested in on that form?
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's what we were doing, because even in the Oxenhope one, that's what they've done, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've got this as high level overview of support for the plan, which obviously is where you want to come out.
Yeah.
And then more detailed comments.
Yeah, I think if you can just handhold people through that so that they know that's what they should do, then I think that's fine.
I guess we put it at the back end of the SurveyMonkey. Thank you for your participation in the SurveyMonkey. If you have detailed comments on any of the stuff you've read, please contact the clerk on this email and ask for a representation.
That sounds good.
Form.
Sounds good.
For your detailed comments.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's consultation questions. So are you happy to have a look at the questions, these 7, and make them 8 or 6, 9 or whatever, bearing in mind?
I would just use broadly. We have the same sort of first.
Well, we don't have any transport policies, for example.
No, but we've got vision, we've got aims and objectives, and then we'd have a question almost per what was the chapter.
Well, if we've got local green space policy,
area,
we've got one historical buildings one, for example.
So I would say it's those sections of the document. There's a question.
Chapter headings. Okay. Duly noted. Timescales then. When do we think? Well, we know that ACOM are likely to come back or want to come back before the end of the year, December. if we can put this back to them by the end of this month, which is 2 days. Well, no, it's only the work that Lee's doing. The Lee,
Yeah, I can email them tomorrow. So I'll do
the
that.
Lee will discharge that, and then they're going to come back by. So we will get thing. So we've got Richard Aldred, his input to that's Reg 14 dominating, isn't it? So I can't remember what timescales he said, but perhaps you can come back to us, Eve, with, you know, when he says he can do his first drafts and iterations and things like that. And
I'll get in touch with him.
do we need another neighbourhood plan meeting before Christmas then, or should we set one for New Year and put Reg 14 on the diary for, say, second week of January or something like that? When we know we've got ACOM sorted and we know we've got Richard Aldred sorted.
That sounds sensible.
Yeah, December's a bit crazy, isn't it?
Are you thinking then that we'd be ready to press the button?
We'd have to go to full council. Or have we already agreed with full council that we've agreed that we can design it and spend $3,000? What did they think we were going to do with it? Put it in a cupboard? And
That was all we agreed though, so we would have to go. We ought to go back to full council with the current version of the plan, because we haven't been back
no.
for a while.
Well, that's a good point, but I kind of was pushing on what did they think we wanted to spend the $3,000 on.
I know, but it's almost the here's your document. We need to go back to get them to.
Can't they be statutory consultees?
we need to get their permission to go out to Schedule 14 consultation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that looks like when is the council meeting in January?
21st? 17th.
17th.
We'll have to do it early, didn't we?
So can we have a neighbourhood plan meeting before that? And cancel it and cancel it if ACOM haven't come back?
That sounds a good idea.
Does that sound like a plan, Lee?
That
to
sounds
you?
like a good idea.
Yeah. No, it does.
Yeah, okay, because we want so we've got Richard Aldred and ACOM with and Philippa with Survey Monkey as being the three drivers of that.
I went over with Survey Monkey to knock something together and send people a link to it. So
yeah, that's fine. That's fine, but we don't want to go out until after the full council meeting on the 17th of January.
But we should just.
Yeah.
I'll knock something up.
Yeah, we can.
We can all go.
Yeah. Oh, I see. You can put it online as a private survey. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that sounds good.
We'll run it.
Oh, I can.
We'll run it, and you
evil
can say
comments in there.
the plan is, and then we can.
Yeah, we can have some real fun.
We can see what comes out the back end as well.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's do that.
So at Christmas, when you've got nothing else to do.
So that's the timescales. Then it's also the approach and the events. Now, in terms of events. Reg 14, do we need any more events like town hall, arts theatre and walk-in sessions?
I think we need at least one, don't we?
I don't know. The Reg 14, we were going to go to every Tom, Dick and Harry, weren't we?
We're going to send them
a postcard.
A postcard saying it's happening.
Yeah.
Whether we then want. Not sure we want multiple events, but whether we want an event.
I guess we have an accessibility question for people that don't have web access. We've gone around this time and time again, haven't we? Because what we're saying is put a postcard through your door saying the consultation is on Survey Monkey, and then the 85-year-old is going to say, "What's that?" So and legitimately so too, I might add, for the purposes of YouTube.
We've got to make sure it's open to anybody, but you don't have electronic equipment.
So if that was if we're talking February, then aren't we, for booking something or other? So maybe we can get that in mind if we're going to agree with the council to go out on the 17th of January. Then the rest of it can go into February, back end of February, for a venue, and make it a Saturday.
Do you see it as just one open day, so to speak?
I don't see
Do you
why. I
think
mean,
that's
there will be
sufficient? Does that
people
mean-
saying, I can't do it, I'm on holiday. So, well, we're giving you 6 weeks to do it online.
Mm.
We don't need a venue, do we? We should use here.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should use
that's
here.
what I was thinking.
That's very true.
Mm.
Yeah. So a day in February
Mm.
for selected volunteers to be here to help a walk-in.
Well, I need to read the 90 pages first.
You do.
Right.
It's about time.
Mm. Well,
Yeah. I knew
I
we'd get
haven't
you in
got
the
them, I
end.
can't read them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So is that okay? Is that suit you, Lee, in terms of what you've seen in other parishes?
Yeah, I mean, it varies what people do, frankly. It kind of, provided you've consulted the statutory bodies and then you found a means of consulting everybody, and it sounds like the postcard, is a sufficient means, and then you've augmented it with an event and maybe making a few printed copies available at various locations.
Richard
Then,
Aldred, they have quoted for 11,000 odd postcards, and we know how to distribute them, and we've quoted for print copies of the final thing when he's done it, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it'd be good for us to sit and look at it as well. So
Mm.
yeah, okay. So let's plan that for back end of February, and just go forward now as it rolls out, and let the agencies of ACOM and Aldred Design do their magic. Okay.
Fine.
Have a good Christmas and see you in just the week before January the 17th for a quick
So
neighbourhood
we'll
plan.
have planning and the finance will be on the Tuesday and the Wednesday of that week, won't it?
I would imagine
I
so.
think.
Yes.
We're just looking at diaries now, so I guess we've moved on to 22, 23, 46, next meeting of the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group. So could we have it on the 9th? Do we have a quick meeting on the 9th, or do you want to go to the 16th, which is the day before?
I'd prefer the 9th, to be honest, because it's my son's birthday on the 16th.
Okay,
That'd be Monday.
Monday the 9th.
Monday the 9th.
That-
Monday the
that's
9th, Lee.
Meetings in a row for you though, isn't it?
This chairman.
Need it.
Okay.
Yes, one way to get Philippa not to be chair next next month.
Oh dear.
Well, that'll be fine. This one shouldn't take too long.
No.
No.
Well,
Actually, no, because we were presumably, if we meet on the 9th, we should also be looking at the pre-consultation responses.
Yes, yeah, that will be on the diary. Yeah.
But if ACOM etc. don't get back to us,
No, we'll cancel it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it might not happen anyway.
No.
No,
I was going to say planning was normally quick.
Postpone. not
Postpone.
cancel.
that's fine.
Reschedule.
Reschedule. Oh, there's a lot of that about, ladies.
Postpone.
Okay, so exclusion of the press and public
What-
didn't
what-
happen.
Did the 9th work for Lee?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I
fine.
did. Yeah. Okay, so I deem this meeting closed. There's no any other business. That's it.
Okay.
Job done. Thank you very much, Lee, for your time.
Thank you.
Sterling,
Hey, have a good Christmas.